Folks, we're back. I just got a couple more of these I want to run by you. But this morning on Fox Financial, we had a talking head that has the latest rumor out of California that you're not going to believe. The Democrats have got two huge problems that are embarrassing them.
Okay.
They are going to, now this is, again, one guy talking, but the plan that they're talking about is to have Dianne Feinstein retire. She's, incapacitated now as it is, the senator. And they're going to have her retire. And Newsom is going to appoint Kamala Harris as the senator from California to replace her. It solves two problems.
Well,
You got to get
takes her out of the succession for the presidential succession. That's a plus. That's a plus, though.
That's right. Because their polling shows that she's hurting Biden.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So people are
And-
afraid that she could step in as the president.
And they can't find, they can't take her out in the woods and shoot her.
No.
No. But they can do the next best thing. They can send her back to California and say, look, you can't do any worse than Dianne Feinstein.
That's right.
And so they get rid of Dianne Feinstein and they get rid of Kamala Harris.
That's right.
Both. You know what? It almost sounds logical. Now, so
Yeah.
my question to you is,
Yep.
what do they do for a vice president? That's an empty chair.
Yeah. I don't know, but there are so many qualified people, both Republican and Democrat, that could step into leadership, step into the management of the country out there, that it's a sin that we don't recognize these people and bring them and have them come in. But we all seem to, the cream doesn't rise to the top anymore in politics. It sinks to the bottom, and it's scum sort of kind of
Yeah.
like,
But you know what? No, I'll toss your argument right back at you.
okay.
Why would a decent, honest man want to get involved with those scumbags?
That's the problem right there. I think General Powell, remember when he retired or didn't retire, somebody said, you should, they were looking for a black man to start with. That hadn't much to do with it because he didn't express any racial things.
Right.
But he was an excellent general.
Yeah.
And he was the first general ever to come out of the ROTC. But he was smart. He was logical. They said, "Why don't you should run for president?" He says, "No. I would never do that to my family. Somebody'd shoot me." That was the end of the discussion.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that, if they're not afraid of so much of being shot, but that was his. But you're right. Why would you want to put your foot in that water? I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to get into it.
No, I don't. I'd rather take a walk in the woods and try to dig a tunnel to China. than
Yeah,
do
exactly.
that. Yeah. Unbelievable. The Iowa State Fair ran from August 10th to August 20th, so it's still running.
I've never been there.
Next year, we should go to it and do a live show from out there.
Yeah.
We'll take Andrew with us.
Andrew will go along. He's
Yeah.
a fine technical producer there.
Yeah. And you know what? We have a lot of fun out there because hogs outnumber people 7-1 in
That's
Iowa.
right. They won't even notice we were there. I've been to 3 state fairs: Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Ohio. The best of the three was Minnesota. I don't know what happened now, but it was the nicest. It was the newest. It was the way it was laid out. It's laid out like a city,
Mm-hmm.
and it's permanent. The buildings are all permanent. There's none of. It's all of them got the million honky tonk stuff and
Yeah.
a million fried foods and alligator tongue.
Yeah.
Anything you can imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. I've never been to a state fair.
I'm sorry. Macon, Massachusetts also.
Oh,
I
okay.
forgot we went to Syracuse one time. That's old, very old.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It was a lot of fun, but it was everything was. The buildings were old. Some were temporary. It was, but Ohio was nice.
We got something kind of involved here. I was very now. I love going to the horse races, betting on the horses.
Yeah, I used
I
to
don't
like the
have any
dog.
problem.
I
with
used to
that.
like the dog races.
Yeah.
I was a dog
Uh,
track fan.
The football cards, picking teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did that
throwing
too.
a couple of bucks on that. Yeah, I don't mind that. But I was really afraid of legalized betting here in Massachusetts. And my worst fears are really nothing compared to what's happening. It's even worse than I could have thought.
Oh, really?
The sports betting has gotten totally out of hands. You can't believe the stuff I see on NESN, the sports network, New England Sports
Yeah, I
Network.
watch it sometimes. I watch
Gambling
that's all.
shows. And the kids between 18 and 21 are the easiest ones to manipulate. Their brains aren't
Yeah, all right.
cooking with gas quite yet. What they gambling show people are doing is they're acting as shills for the gambling casinos and the betting centers and all of that. They're pushing the hell out of parlay betting.
Well,
And parlays that are the best thing that ever happened to the gambling industry. They retain 20% of the bet on
Yeah.
parlays.
yeah.
They retain 5% of the bets on even up games.
Right.
And they are pushing. You can't believe the shows on. Well, it comes on at like 8 o'clock in the morning on NESN.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I leave NESN on at night as I'm watching the ball game, and I hit off and go to bed.
Yeah.
And when I hit on, guess what pops up? NESN.
See, I
And
don't
it's
watch
the gambling show.
I rarely ever watch TV in the morning.
Yeah. And they are pushing. And now my 4-team parlay for today is da 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 da. Now here's the reason why, folks. Put your money on this and that and the other thing. Well, they did a study of one guy that gave you a parlay, his parlay of the day. He hit it once out of 60 tries.
Yep.
And yet, who's listening to this show? Youngsters. Oldsters like us already know what parlays are.
Yeah. Right.
I hit one parlay in my life on a football card.
Although I don't do sports betting as such, other than I used to do the football cards because the guy that the coffee truck that came around, every one of them coffee truck was a bookie. They had, you could bet anything you want with these guys, and every week I'd get a card and I'd fill it out. And the next day I'd give it back to them. And one time I hit $50, $40. That's the only time but it was $2 or $4, whatever it was. But
Well,
anyway,
you can play a card for $1.
but I always had 3 or 4 going. But I watched sports betting coming from casino-wise, because there's no question about it, and everybody knows Monica and I are casino rats. That's my son had deemed us that years ago. You guys are just a couple of casino rats. No matter where you go, you got to find a casino. I said, yeah, that's probably what they are, because we enjoy casinos.
Yeah.
And I watched the transition at Plain Ridge when they were talking about it and then doing it, and then the physical construction of it. Now, at first, the rumor was that the large restaurant, the Flutie restaurant there, was going to get turned into a betting parlor or sports betting, like they had in Vegas and different places. Then I don't know what happened, but anyway, on one end, down to the end where I play video poker, there is a sports betting. That's all sports betting, man. They've got it looks like a betting windows, just like a bank tellers and I believe there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 8 windows. And they, of course, the first day they had all the dignitaries there and everything else. Plus they've got probably 40, maybe more, electronic machines that you want to bet on.
Yeah.
Ohio State playing and you got all this stuff you can man. You don't have to go to the window. You can do it. Well, the last few times we've been there, I said to Monica, next time you get up and go to the ladies' room, take a look at the sports betting section. There was one guy, one teller behind the window, half asleep, nobody down there. It's been like that it's been like that since a month after they opened. There's nobody. There might be 2 old guys working on a machine. That's it. Nobody has generated no interest whatsoever.
Wow.
Somebody's betting someplace, but they're not doing it. They're not doing it in a casino.
And they're doing it through 2 or 3 of the big gambling houses, and they're doing it.
I think most of it's online.
Yeah.
But they're not doing it through the local casinos. That's for sure, because they're not seeing anything.
What you saw was the new fad. Oh boy, let's go do this. Oh, is that all there is to it? And see you later.
The first time we were down there was in fact, we went one day and it was the opening, and it was every politician that you could imagine. There must have been 100 of them. They had special lunch for them, a buffet and everything. Of course, regular people could go over there. It was all roped off.
Just the Pauls, yeah.
All the suits were there.
Eat the lobsters.
And the next day, I didn't stay in the afternoon when it started at 3 o'clock. The next day, we were there, and it was busy. I mean, all the windows were busy, and the machines, and people were doing. Next week, we went back. 75% of them weren't there anymore. Yeah. Next week, we went back. It's dead.
Wow.
Completely dead.
Yeah. Well, somebody's gambling.
Somebody's gambling, but
because the take to the state is going up.
It must be online because it's not physical.
It is. In China, boys and men ages 16 to 24,
yep,
there is a 21% unemployment rate.
I know it's getting higher.
China. This morning on Fox Financial, they had a couple of guests on, and they were talking about the impact it's going to have on this country. The problems in China, they actually having deflation over there. And for instance, one of the major companies that's getting hit is Caterpillar.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Caterpillar is one of my favorite stocks. I've held it for a long time. It's been really good the last couple of years.
Yep.
Down $5 today on the news that they expect their business from China to tail off 30 or 40%. Now, when they're canceling big construction jobs and construction equipment, things are not good.
No, these are indicators,
Yeah.
big time indicators of what's
Yeah.
going coming down the road.
Nvidia is another one. The one of the guests said that China depends on us for so many smart products, so much really technical stuff. They don't have that
No.
expertise.
Well, that's why they're so mad over the microchip right
Yeah.
now, because they want those.
That's one of the good
Advanced
moves
microchip.
that Biden made.
Yeah, saying no.
You know, when you want to strangle a snake, you got to get him by the neck, and
That's
we
right.
found out what their neck was.
This crap that we used to. If you want to do business here, you got to tell us your trade secrets.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
right.
Yeah, right. Right is right.
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of
Yeah,
business, and now this is just one of them temper tantrums that I have sometimes, and I get. She says, "Will you shut up? They can't hear you, you know, on the TV."
do you get that kind of feedback at home too?
Constantly.
Ah,
I was watching Fox. Is it Fox Business? Yeah. No, Fox
there's Fox Financial or Fox Business.
Channel
and then this,
5 or 6 or 5 or 4 down, sometime at the bottom. I think it's Fox Business.
Okay.
At night, sometimes they got cops on,
Oh yeah, it is Fox Business.
and it's newer cops.
Yes,
I mean,
it is.
the cars aren't them old watermelon-looking
It's
Chevys.
the last year or so.
Yeah, it's interesting. And sometimes there's nothing else on. I said, well, let's watch a whole series there. It goes from like 6 o'clock to midnight or
Yeah.
something. Well, watching it the other night, and it started peeing me off. They started running this ad for, it was so bad. It was that this woman stands there and tells you this sob story, how she worked for L'Oreal Cosmetics for so many years, and then she put her money in with this financial advisor guy, and in 2008 she lost half her money, and he didn't do anything about it, and he didn't care. And now she says, this is where I thought, you stupid crap. My husband has been on Wall Street for 40 years, and he has come up with a system that you can get your money back. And she says, here's a stock that I put it, and they show 879% it's up. And she said, you just log in to that website that you see below me. She never says what it is. That's because it's a generic ad. Every place has got different ones down there. It's called angryannie.com. And she's mad. And I'm saying, you stupid. You got a husband that's 50 years in the business,
And you lost half your money.
and you lost half your money, and you're blaming some jamoke financial manager. Where was your husband? He's not so damn smart.
So you know what happens when you dial up Annie Angry?
No,
Well, I did it.
you did,
It was a different guy.
but the same kind of a.
Same
pitch, yeah.
hustle. I have a special stock that you
That's what she was
need
pushing.
to own. This stock is going to skyrocket.
We're part of her
2 years
pitch.
from now,
Yep.
you'll be calling me and telling me how much money you made. To find out about this stock and to learn about my system, call BillSmith.com.
Yeah, do something.
Yeah. So I did. Well, first of all, you get 20 minutes of him talking about his background.
Yep. Well, I'm not surprised. I
and
can
then he
see the
puts
pitch
charts
coming.
up. Here's a stock that I recommended 6 years ago. Look at it. It's up 950%. Here's another blah, 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 blah. So then, after 20 minutes, then this hot-looking babe comes out. And she starts talking to him Oh, this is so wonderful. I hope all the people that are listening now are going to call and they're going to hang in here because you have really helped me. Yeah, you can't believe the difference in my life. And it goes on and on. Dwayne,
Yeah.
at 55 minutes, I clicked the clicker off because he still hadn't talked about the stock. But what he did talk about was his system of how he chooses stock. You can become a member.
Oh yeah. There's a
my club. I show you how to do it. You know, for $145 a month, I will send you the inside information. That's what this was all about.
I kept yelling, well, if your husband's so damn smart, how'd you lose all your money?
Do you know, I have a lower boiling point than you.
Of course, I get the, you know they can't hear you.
How about the woman, the elderly woman, that's sitting at her desk? These bills are so stupid. And then underneath, you go underground, and there's the two moles.
Yeah.
She doesn't know it, but she's sitting on a gold mine. If she'd just go and cash in her insurance policy, but no, she's raving about blah, 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 blah. Have you had people living under your house that talk to you?
Oh, I hear them all the time.
I hate that ad. By the way, we mentioned...
I know Fox is making money with selling ads, but I wish there was somebody out there that had some kind of a ethic that would say, no, we won't take that kind of ads anymore.
I know it.
But yeah, the Chronicle, every so often, every week or two, they got on the back page an ad. You can buy gold bullion, bags of coins or something if you're in this zip code. Well, you know everybody in the area's zip code is going to be listed. Then if you read it really careful, and it goes on and on and on, it's a total flim-flam. But yet, the people like the Chronicle, oh, we do this and we're so above board, but you know this thing is a scam, but yet you'll take a whole page ad every couple weeks from these people, not saying, no, you're ripping off old ladies of their savings with this thing.
A bag of coins.
A bag of coins. Uncirculated, just discovered.
Yeah.
They don't forget. They forget, but 3 months ago they had the same ad, and they had just discovered that bags.
They're discovering bags everywhere.
Oh yeah. Or there's a one of them's for some kind of medicine that you rub on. It's going to put orthopedic surgeons out of business.
Yeah. It's just, well, how about I got the ad written down in here someplace. I'll find it, but the Prevagen.
Oh yeah.
Increase your memory. Blah blah blah. I started taking Prevagen 3 years ago, and I find now my memory is sharper. I can grasp concepts easier. I think Prevagen really works. And then there's a big ad across the bottom. Prevagen has not been tested by the FDA.
It's a food supplement.
It's
a food supplement, it says.
That's all it is. Yeah.
And Consumer Reports about a year ago said, don't waste your money.
Nope. No. Or the Super Beat.
The Super Beat. The same stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all, and you know, so many people fall for that line, especially elderly.
Yeah.
And, you know, we should be protecting the elderly from ads like that. But instead, these guys prey on them. So, I found what I was looking for here. I don't know whether I've ever read this or not to you, but we're talking about hogs, pigs.
Yeah.
Pigs are generally conceded to be among the more intelligent of animals. What did Winston Churchill think of this? He said, "I like pigs. A dog looks up to you, a cat looks down on you, but a pig treats you like an equal."
I like that.
Oh,
Pigs are smart.
yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't get credit for it.
No, my hairdresser's got two of them. They start out as little Vietnamese pot-bellied pigs. Well, they weigh about 200-300 pounds now. So.
Time to go to Willard's Slaughterhouse.
Oh, not the way she says. No, they're pets.
She must have an extra job just to feed them.
I guess.
That can't be cheap.
No, it can't be.
Whoosh.
Monica's youngest brother, had a cattle hauling business, a trucking company, and he took over the family farms too. And the first thing he did was the hogs went to market and then come back. He hated pigs. He didn't even like hauling them. He said, first of all, he says they stink up your trailers, and then the next stop you got to get cattle. And if the cattle weren't around pigs on that farm, they have a smell that the cattle don't like, and you can't get the damn cattle to come get into the trailers because of the pig. He said, you haul the pig, you got to go steam clean that thing out before you.
That cuts into the old profit margin.
Yeah, oh yeah. He said, he really hated was bison.
I got one more, and then I'm going to turn this over to you for a while. The Ed Flynn is the president of the Boston City Council.
Oh, that is probably the most astute group that I've ever come across. They've got their finger on the pulse of America.
Yeah.
They know everything that's going on. Their ethics are, you can't question them. They are so, I don't know how they found these 12 people or whatever they got from the city of Boston.
It is amazing.
It's amazing that group.
It's amazing they can still feed themselves, too.
Oh,
But Ed Flynn is Ray Flynn's son.
Oh, well, that explains a lot.
Yep. So,
Have the Flynns ever had a real job, any of them?
no, I don't think so. No. But he's running for office here. He's battling his way, but he's the president of the city council. And he has got every misfit in the world on the board of the city council now. So, Maya Wu, she's God's gift to Boston politics, I'll tell you. Her and Governor Healy, what a daily double they are. They couldn't find their butts with both hands. But, so, Mayor Wu goes on vacation for 10 days. Ed Flynn is now acting mayor. Guess what he did? He went down to Mass and Cass for a photo op.
Oh, of course.
Here's his quote. Utterly amazing. He said he had, wait a minute. So anyway, he went for a 90-minute tour. I think it was important for me to see for myself the deteriorating conditions at Mass and Cass, Flynn said. It was worse than I expected. Dwayne, he's the president of the Boston City Council.
And now he's going down?
In Boston all his life.
Yeah.
He's a big politician's son that's trying to become a politician in Boston. And this stupid ass comes out with a quote like that, like he has never been there before.
Oh, yeah. That's what I just said. Now he goes down there?
Yeah, now he goes down there. But he waited till she was gone.
Mm-hmm.
Because didn't want to be accused of upstaging her.
Yeah, well, the spotlight would be on him now.
That's right. He might have to do something.
Well, you remember when Daddy got appointed to the ambassador to the Vatican?
Mm-hmm.
And he was going to do this, and he was going to change this thing, and he's going to change that. And they had to remind him, this is an honorary appointment. You don't have any power to change anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so many of these people are totally witless.
Oh, absolutely. That whole group too, Bill.
Yeah.
You don't forget that years ago, already they used to have, I'm sure they still do, these massive arguments, and they would go on for days, even weeks, over things that did not entail them at all. At one time, when Red China wasn't part of the United Nations, they argued for 2.5 weeks whether Red China should be admitted to the United Nations or not.
It is a stage for performers to perform.
And to
in
get
front of the
money
public.
and to get
Yeah.
paid for doing nothing.
Yeah, they're up to
It's
about $120,000 a year.
I was gonna say 100 quarter.
Yep.
But what a job, Bill, for you or I to do. You got no responsibility. You got nothing to do. You just go yes or no. You argue for a few days and talk. I mean, we're doing this for free.
Do you?
I know it's a shock, folks, but we don't make big money doing this.
No. Do you think? And I mean this. And by the way, folks, I majored in hyperbole in school, but this is truth. If they said tomorrow to Dwayne and I, you guys are going to come to Boston, look at Mass and Cass, and tell us what to do to straighten it out. If we couldn't come up with a better solution than what these armpits continue,
Absolutely.
I mean, here's something from one of the cops. We're not pushing incarceration from a law enforcement perspective, he said. We're trying to motivate the city to do something about the area more than they've been doing, because the process and the plan they have been employing just by handing out clean needles and having people on site to offer a place for them to clean and use the restroom at times, that's just not working. Do you really think we couldn't go in there and come up with better solutions
Of course we could.
than these morons are? Because we don't have to get reelected to anything. We're not civil service servants that answer to a mayor.
That's right. We're not.
We could go in there and kick ass and take names
Yep.
and get it straightened out shortly,
And do what
as
we think is right, not what is advantageous to our career.
and take that big tent city, which now is 2 times bigger than it's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, Madam Wu, our mayor in there, she really fixed it when she tore them all down. There's twice as many now.
Yeah, it's
You know, I would take one of those big Caterpillar front end loaders, and I'd tell everybody get 10 minutes to get out of the way, and I'd run it right down the sidewalks,
yeah.
scoop it up into a dump truck, and say, now get on the buses, taking you someplace, and
No. Go ahead.
this is where we're going to keep you until we get you straightened out. But
People will always gyrate toward the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
If you give them a place, now I'm not being cruel or mean or anything else, and I'm not, but if you give them a path to a sidewalk with a tent and maybe some people coming out and passing out food sometimes, and that area is going to grow and grow and grow because it's the path of least resistance.
and we can shoot up and they leave us
They
alone.
leave us alone. That's right. And you're not going to solve that problem. It's just going to exacerbate over and getting bigger and
By
bigger.
the way, a police dispatcher put on the air, you've got a problem at Mass and Cass, one person's down, one person may be dead. Be very careful. There are hundreds of needles on the ground in the area. I wonder what her career, or his career, the dispatcher's, is really like now that he put that on the air, because the mayor heard it or was told about it, the politicians
Oh, I
heard
hear
it.
it.
You know, we're supposed to be sitting on that, not talking about it.
Look at the cities that not promoted that, but tolerated it to the point that they would help it along. Look what happened to Seattle. Look what happened to
San Francisco.
San Francisco.
Yeah.
Particularly places that had a milder climate too. I mean, they overrun.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to talk to a homeless guy when I was working with the homeless. We were talking, and we gave him a sandwich and a cup of coffee. And so he said, I probably won't be seeing you too much anymore. I said, why? Well, it's getting cold. He says, I usually go to San Francisco or LA or once. He mentioned a town in California. He said, for the winter. He said, but I'll see you come spring.
Yeah, I'll be back.
But San Francisco has fallen on evil times. There was a big article in the Wall Street Journal that they have got real financial problems. But it's all of their own making.
That's right.
You know, when you do not enforce the laws, when you do not support law enforcement, and you allow these things to happen, and then they're shocked by the results.
Then they're shocked by the result.
How did this happen?
Yeah.
We need money, more money from the government. That's the answer to everything, more money from the government. And you know who's laughing about this? Biden and the squad. Yup, we're getting control of everything.
What I don't like is when they say free money from the government. There's no such thing as free money.
It's not free money to you and I. We're paying it.
We paid for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dwayne, my youngest son, Peter, is more sensitive to things sometimes than I am. But he said, how much longer can we watch the country do this to itself before? I said, I don't know. I think next year's election is it. If we cannot change the direction of the country, we're doomed to get down the drain.
I can see these people, both sides, just tearing each other apart just to gain something for themselves.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the country, like you said, is going down the tube.
I've asked you this before. Can you envision a civil war in this country with us shooting at each other?
At one time, I would have said no. Now, maybe.
Yeah.
After January 6th, I'm not so sure. It's one of the saddest things to me is to see that happen.
Yeah, and he's running for president, and he's ahead.
Yeah.
In the Republican polls and the national polls.
Do you know what? I believe this, and I may be wrong. I may not be wrong. I really don't care. Is his hold on the Republican Party now? See, I'm a long-term Republican. I haven't always voted. Sometimes I'll go independent, but I rarely ever switch over to the liberal side. That's not my thing. But I've never seen a person that has such control over a political party as Donald J. has. And I can see why, with particularly the upcoming election, he's already said that he will not sign that loyalty pledge.
Yeah.
Meaning whoever the party decides for the candidate, will support him, the other candidates. He won't sign that. He said no. And I think that's because if he's not picked, he says, okay, I'm running as an independent. I'm going to take my people, and we're going to stay over here as an independent. Republicans, you'll lose. You'll lose the House. You'll lose the Senate. I don't care if Joe Biden and Kamala Harris wins. If I don't get it, nobody gets it.
In his heart, he believes that.
Yep.
And he will destroy the country to save it.
To save it. That's right. To save that.
And it'll rise from the ashes through him.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're exactly right. And yet, he would make a much better president than Biden.
That's what's sad.
That is. I mean, we have ended up with two totally unsuitable candidates.
That's the whole thing. Now, I don't. Maybe I don't understand the idea of it. This ranked voting.
Oh yeah.
I don't like it. I probably don't understand part of it.
I know you understand enough not to like it.
But what I would like to see, a third option on all these kind of none of the above.
Wow.
And if it's none of the above, they're gone. I don't care if it takes 6, 7 months or 9 months to come up with another set of candidates. If none of the above wins, none of the above wins.
There is a no-name party.
That's right. I just saw that this morning. A no-name party.
They are gathering strength.
Yep.
There's another group too. The Women's Party.
Okay, I don't know much about that.
And it's Republican based,
Mm-hmm.
but it's women, and they are becoming very politically active. They're growing in strength.
Yeah, I think they're probably getting tired of the nonsense that's going on.
You know, it is. You become so frustrated talking about this.
Oh yeah.
But it is such a frustrating thing. When you hear a reporter say to the president, Mr. President, what about this? Well, I expected a stupid question from you, and he stomps off. They have to watch him constantly. Oh, I'm not allowed to talk about that. They don't want me to talk about that. And I'm afraid for the country. I'm afraid that he is showing signs of really breaking down. Now, on another week's vacation, he's had 200 and something days vacation so far, but they're becoming more numerous. And
I don't doubt that.
he's not going anyplace, going to his home in Rehoboth, Delaware. But I think he can't take the rigors of being president, and I think he's going to have a timeout to eat ice cream and ride his bicycle.
I couldn't take that. You couldn't take it.
No. At 82, I could make decisions. But at 82, I could not sit through cabinet meetings.
Yeah, the schedule
where
that it
people-
has to go through.
Yeah.
It's just morning to late at night. It's on and on and on.
And then, I mean, get up in the morning and you have to sit down for a briefing.
Yeah.
Well, from what Dave said, Kamala Harris blew all that stuff off.
No.
She doesn't think there's any need for her to have briefings.
That's right.
Now, I'll be willing to bet you that if President Biden does get the briefings, I'll be willing to bet you if they sail in here and exit over here just as quickly.
Oh, yeah, I'm not surprised.
I mean, when they sit
Well,
down and start talking to him about the Straits of Hormuz and why we've got to move a couple of naval ships to that area, and he doesn't know where the Gulf of Hormuz is,
Yeah.
and
But
it's sad.
it is. And the previous one wasn't any better. He would grab the briefings, and he'd be watching TV while the briefing's going on. They knew, so the guy would say, "I know he's not listening. I know he doesn't know what anything was said." And he's just kind of like, yeah, he's bored with it. He said, "Oh, I'm not going to listen." But that's the kind of stuff we got. Just like you said, we got Frick and we got Frack. What do we have to do to pull some qualified, smart logic? They don't have to be geniuses, just logical, just normal.
One of the
people.
senators that I've followed his career, and I've heard him on Meet the Press and stuff like that. When I hear he's a guest, I like to tune in. John Thune
Yeah.
from North Dakota,
Yeah.
senator. He makes sense. He talks reasonably.
That's
There's
right.
no yelling and screaming and pulling his hair, and yet, when you read articles, well, of course, John Thune is a very intelligent guy, but he has no charisma to run. for
He's no
president.
following. He has no no audience.
No one really listens when he talks. So what are you going to be? You got to be one of the, like, remember the snake oil salesman
Oh,
that
my
stood
God.
on the back of a buckboard and
Yeah.
sold
Oh,
medicine?
my God, yeah.
Yeah, that's what you have to be. You got to
Yeah.
tell
Oh, yeah.
jokes and snappy patter and all that stuff.
Yep.
How sad is that?
It's beyond sad, Bill.
Yeah.
We are getting, and I think you will see it too. We're getting to the point where this is no longer. I used to be entertaining to a certain point, you know. And they said, "Well, there are two fools there. This one doing this and that," but it's not. It's getting scary because it's not getting any better, and the country's starting to suffer for it.
Yeah. And you look in our state. Record-breaking temperatures last week. Markey introduces a new bill to help people with heat. Huh?
I know it's
It's not going to go anyplace.
not now.
No.
No,
I mean, he's an idiot. I mean, he's got no standing at all among normal human beings.
How much did you ever hear of Ed Markey before Elizabeth Warren? You didn't.
He was
You
a
could
rep.
say Markey, and you say, "Who's that?"
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's our senator.
Yeah.
I
No,
didn't.
He was a rep, for
rather.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I've heard of him. I never said. He never did anything. He
Well,
never said anything.
And not only that, but he was Malden, Medford, that area
Yeah.
there.
He never
Never
left that
lived
area.
there.
No,
He got
his
a
mother's
home
house.
down in Virginia,
Yep.
and that's where he's been for the last 30 or 35 years.
And then Elizabeth comes along, and she kind of
Oh.
puts the collar on him and leads him around and
It does, yeah.
and winds him up in the back and say, "All right, now say this." And he does, and she leads him over to someplace else. Now take a drink of water. Winds him up again.
Elizabeth Warren was shocked not too long ago by a poll that shows she's vulnerable. That the poll was something like she was ahead 36 to 28
Yeah.
over someone. Well, she's never had numbers like that before. So,
No,
you
she's-
know what? I think we've caught on to her act.
Yeah,
I'd like to think we have.
Some years, yeah, I think so. More and more are. I can't say that a lot, but more and more are, and she's being shown for the opportunist that she is. She doesn't get outraged until somebody else brings it up, and then all of a sudden she's just outraged over the whole thing.
Screaming Mimi.
But the next day, she's on it. 10. The next day, she doesn't even remember what it was. She's on to something else. The outrage du jour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me an outrage du jour.
I got one. Stupidity on my part.
What?
Yes. I couldn't believe this morning that I missed all. This is sports. That all this time I'm reading it and I'm not paying any hardly attention to it. And this morning I thought, what the hell? And that is Ezekiel. I saw Ezekiel was leaving the Cowboys and all this kind of stuff. I said, God, I can't stand that guy. God, he just gives me the creeps. I pity the team that's going to get him. I never knew he was dicking around with the Patriots, and this morning they signed him, or yesterday.
He's been up for a visit.
Yeah. I said, where have I been? I must have been in a bucket someplace because I'd see his name, Ezekiel Elliott, and
this brings up a good point.
I can't stand that guy.
And it is Bill Belichick is the greatest coach, general manager of all times.
Yeah.
But the writers despise him. He won't tell us anything.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was the one that used to write for the Herald. She wrote that. He won't tell us anything. Well, I mean, should he really call her and say, hey, why don't you come in Saturday? I'll go over the game plan with you.
Here's the playbook for Sunday.
Yeah, and this is what we're going to try to do. Now, we think their linebackers cannot pursue backs coming out of the backfield. You're going to see a lot of screen passes and stuff like that. She's a reporter. What do reporters do with information?
They report.
They report it, and it gets printed in the paper.
Yeah, exactly.
But the other team doesn't read the local Boston paper, so they wouldn't know anything. I mean, it drives you nuts to watch the talk show hosts, the writers, the TV talking heads, and who knows what Belichick's going to do. He won't tell us anything. And we've had to find things out from guys. And if they talk to us and he ever finds out about it, he's going to kill them.
We'll stay with sports, but they do it with politics. They'll say, Mr. President, if China invades Taiwan, what are your plans? You fool. He's going to say, all right, here, I'm going to nuke this city, then we're going to invade here, but don't tell anybody.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, keep it quiet.
Yeah.
Hush. But Ezekiel, so they bring him up. But they brought up like 3 other running backs.
Yeah, they did.
Okay? And they put them through their paces. So do they really think that he should call a press conference and say, well, look, guys, here's the scoop. Guy A, injury problems. I don't think he's healed. Don't think we're interested. Guy B, he's got lousy hands. He's not going to catch any screen passes. Great. Guy C, though, I like him. I think we're going to make him an offer.
Why did Jones let him go?
Yeah, exactly why.
What do you? I say I wasn't paying attention
he
to
had
it.
some injuries, but
I know.
also think he was an irritant.
He was a malcontent.
Yes, and he wanted more action. He didn't like being on the bench. He didn't like a new guy they picked up. Some of these guys become like Philadelphia lawyers.
Oh yeah.
They talked themselves out of town. Well, his contract was up, and Jerry Jones just said,
"Yeah,
go find another job." That's what he's doing, you know. But when you
Well, I hope
Act
he
like
turns
an
into a
ass.
superstar
Well,
here because
do you
I
know-
just don't like the guy.
Do you know why? Reading between the lines, Belichick was enamored of him. He's an excellent blocker, picking up the pass rush.
Oh, I used to watch
Yeah. Yeah.
the Cowboys, and he was always a key
Yeah,
key spot in
You
there.
could bring him in
Yeah.
on passing situations, knowing that he can pick up a backer that's
Mm-hmm.
rushing, or that he can also filter out of the backfield and catch a pass. So, I think that's what made him. But Belichick is one of these guys too that doesn't mind picking up jackasses.
Oh, look at the
Because-
history. Christ
I mean,
Almighty!
he figures he can slap them all into
Yeah.
shape, and you know what? You take a
Sometimes he
look at some of
does.
the jackasses that he's picked up and straightened out.
We've had a couple that lasted a few weeks,
Sure.
and he's not afraid to just hit the road, Jack.
Yep. Signed you, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not working. So there you go, out the door. Randy Moss.
Randy Moss used to play with Minnesota.
Yeah,
He turned
had
into a male.
reputation of,
Yep.
but he was one of the greatest pass receivers of all times.
Who was the one? Two. Who was the one from Pittsburgh that we got? There was a malcontent there. He wouldn't. That was 2-3 years ago. I'm getting terrible with
Yeah,
names, so
me too.
to me,
too.
I shouldn't even be
But I mean, he
digging
picked
into that.
up Mike Vrabel
Yeah.
off the scrap heap. Now who knows what his sins were, but he brought him in and straightened him right out.
The running game guy from Cincinnati that they wouldn't even block for him for a while and
Yeah.
picked him. They brought him in and he was good for 2, 3, 4 years.
It's an interesting thing. They're interesting people, football players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're not terribly logical sometimes.
No, they're not.
They're not terribly well educated, but they know football.
Yeah.
But I get a kick out of the talking heads. Man, they just are so mad that they can't have an interface with Belichick so they could make some suggestions to
Yeah,
Belichick.
exactly.
Like, he really wants to
hear what your idea is.
Yeah, that George Smith should get more time in the backfield, you know? He could be a weapon, you know. And Belichick is saying, "Oh God, will this interview ever end?" You
Oh
know?
yeah. He is just so. I like watching when
Don't
they'll ask a question and they're almost afraid to ask it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it is what it is.
Well, I don't talk about people on other teams. I just talk about my players.
Yep.
Okay. So, boys and girls, listen, another successful
Yeah.
show.
Thank you for watching.
And thank you for watching.
And thank you is going to go out to Andrew today for his
Andrew
outstanding technical
yes.
producing that he does for this show. You
know,
couldn't
this-
see it if it was out for that young man
This
in
young
there.
man is growing by leaps
He
and by
is.
bounds.
And
So,
he's a NASCAR fan. If you got anything at NASCAR, send it in to him. He'll appreciate it for you.
oh boy, I'll tell you. Well, listen, folks, have a great couple of weeks, and we'll come back with more of this sort of nonsense.
That's right. Like it or not.
Oh, thank you.